The easy woman's spears, for sure.
Excuse me. Did you
There's free water upstairs.
I hear Adriana's walking.
I brought some tissues in case it was emotional.
Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2. Good evening. I am Juan Key, and welcome to my world. I am not going to lie to any of y'all. I am running on empty, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of the week, and I'm feeling it. Oh my gosh. But I want to thank you for coming through. If you have stumbled upon my channel, I am Juan Key, and welcome to my world. I am a cornucopia of stuff. Okay? You just never know what kind of video you're going to get out of me. And tonight, we are reminiscing and flashbacking to the past. This poster right here, she is it a she? I believe it's a she. She is a Generation X. Okay, so I believe that's somewhere in the 50s, Generation X. Anyway, her post is entitled, "What was the best job you ever had?" I believe for me, the best job I ever had was a blow job. Okay, what did the hurricane say to the coconut tree? Naris 21. I'll give you some time to tell me. What did the hurricane say to the coconut tree? Okay, it's still in the same world of what I was just talking about. Okay, last time. What did the hurricane say to the coconut tree? I'm about to give you a blow job. Anyhow, okay, so the poster goes, what was the best job you've ever had? Of course, not the best as far as pay, but the best job I've ever had was at a mom and pop video store in 1994 to 1996. Of course, I couldn't have made it a career or supported a family from it, but it is the only job I've ever had where I didn't hate going to work. It was actually fun. I got to talk to people that were not dicks all the time. Got good recommendations for movies from people, got free new releases, rentals, and access to early screeners. I worked in the air conditioner in the summer and heat in the winter. It was not physical at all. I could snack and have drinks on my shift. It was great. Jobs I had after that broke me down. Spent years in a laundry where it was very physical. Extremely hot in certain areas and extremely cold in others. Hazards all around. I just turned 48. Drop a bomb on 48. And I still think about that video store job. How about you? Okay, drum roll please. And people say, somebody said, movie theater, back when it was fun to go to the movies. I still have dreams about making popcorn and selling tickets in the box office. Really? You have dreams about that? Somebody says, the U.S. Navy, 20 years, lived in two, lived in two foreign countries, 1 U.S. territory, and 6 warships. Somebody says, back in the Stone Age, before computers did everything, I was a sign painter. Hand lettering, carving, gold leaf, every job was interesting and got to see the results over a large area all the time. Some of my stuff painted in the mid to late 70s is still around. Parentheses, gold leaf, lasts as long as you take care of it, in the parentheses. Was just learning glass bending for neon when computer vinyl signage began. Destroyed the industry and the artistry in a couple of years. Still miss it a half a century later. I was also a musician, so I still had a place to be creative and challenged, but it was a lovely way to make a living. Somebody says, working in a bookstore, I don't even think there are any more bookstores. There actually are. There actually are. And then if you really think about it, like a Barnes and Nobles is considered a bookstore, right? It's corporate, but it's still a bookstore. All right. Somebody says, my favorite job is still when I worked at the fireworks supermarket in my hometown. It was open year round, but staffed up more for 4th of July. So it was a seasonal gig that started in May. Pretty well ended in early August, but it was so much fun. I did it for 3 summers in a row while I was in college. Our quote training, end of quote, involved bringing a lawn chair, food and drinks, and sitting in the field behind the store and setting off one of everything in the store and making notes as to what each product did. All the packaging stated was emit sparks and produces a loud report. You really needed to see the stuff in action to know what produced a good show. The week of 4th of July, we were open 24 hours, and at some bizarre time of the night, my friend and I got the idea of challenging customers to arm wrestle for extra bucks. Bucks are those, oh no, she said extra punks. A punk. But she said it P-U-N-K. And then in parentheses, she explains, P-U-N-K-S are those long sticks thingies that you use for lighting fireworks without burning your fingers. And the parentheses. Oh, who would have thought that a punk was a stick? Drop a bomb on the punk. She goes on to say, I would get amused when some male customers will bypass me to get help from one of my male colleagues as if we didn't get the exact same training. Note, for those purchasing fireworks, don't get the big round tubes on the plastic bases with names involving thunder or cannon. They're okay, but if you're going for something powerful, you want something that's smaller and heavier for a big boom. Okay. All right, one more, and then I'm going to share with you what was my favorite job. Somebody says, I worked for 2 decades as a copy and technical writer, creating, managing, and archiving documentation in multiple industries: energy, aerospace, marketing, and med tech. You want a procedural maintenance manual, a safety summary, a white sheet, some kick-ass ad, copy or design, or branded style for the same? I got you. I was really good at it, but the hours were terrible. The inability to separate work from life was exhausting, and I just became misanthropic. I just became a misanthropic wretch. Okay. Show right there that you know. Wordsmith. Naris 21, homework for you. What does misanthropic means? That's misanthropic. Misanthropic. The work, however, instilled in me a love for tinkering, so I said fuck it and became an auto mechanic. Loved it, but an injury took me out of the shop. Now I work at a bowling alley bartending, wrenching on pins, setters if our mechanics need an extra hand, and cooking, and I'm having the time of my life. Sure, the pay sucks. Even a good tip night is a small fraction of what I made previously, but I get to hang out with so many interesting people. Personally, make a gift make and give them what they want and go home without my brain being boggled down by everything that happened or needed to happen. Oh my God, I can relate so much to the last few lines. I friggin' love it. She really did say friggin'. I friggin' love it. I haven't been happier working. It's not glamorous. I'm not gonna get rich, but it's such a quality of life improvement. Best part, free bowling. So my wife gets, oh, it's a him. So my wife gets to roll up when she's done working, crash some pins to blow off steam because her job is high stress. Meet and hang out with my colleagues and the regulars, hear about how much they love me, and flirt with me at the bar. It's the best. All right, now for me, what has been my favorite job? I've been able to appreciate every step that I've taken in my career, I feel, because it's always led me to better, and it was always a promotion and advancement. I mean, there were a couple of times where I did like a lateral move, but it was temporary because I was going on to something else, so I was in school or whatever. I would say that I had the mostest fun when I was performing full time. Drop a bomb on that. Oh yes, that bomb has been dropped on the stage, on the artistic staff, on my fellow performers. I think that's when I was. You see, but I was so young back then, and I was at a different stage of my life. I just see everything as stages, and you try to find, well, at least I try to find the joy in every stage, every cycle, every period that I've had. When I was performing, yeah, that was fun. However, that brings its own set of stress. Like everybody keeps mentioning in these things, the money. It wasn't until I left performing and went into corporate that I could then afford my own things and got into a whole other level. So in terms of happiness, being able to get to another level gave me the happiness that I was looking for, that I wanted. So, it's subjective, I think. It's for the period of time, everything that I've done, for the most part, I've been happy. And then when you start getting unhappy, then you make your move. I believe every 5 years you should evaluate everything about you. Friendships, career, jobs, all of that, where you at, where you're living, finances, all of that, and see where you can make some improvements. Look at your resume, look at your education, and then see where you could tighten up, or where you could add, or maybe you need to take something off. So for me, yeah, I love the period of time where I was performing, but that in itself brought a whole bunch of other things. Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to do the things that I was able to do later on in life when I went into a different field. Yes, I had a creative outlet, but I was stuck in other areas of my life. And also, just being surrounded by a whole bunch of weirdos and creepos and just salacious individuals who, have ego issues, and it's just about them, me. So was it the best time of my life? I don't know. I'm not so sure. Because when I first got that nice job, that's a good job, Savannah, with all the perks and all, and I didn't have to continue to audition. It's like, okay, I got the job and I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? And it was like a good title. My first director, like director for department, not director on a stage, but like director role at a company that allowed me to then move up in the front of the plane and go on vacations whenever I wanted and eat whatever I wanted and not be so concerned about the bottom line. That gave me a whole other level of happiness and freedom. So for me, I would say I enjoyed performing, but that was a period. It was excellent. I grew, put a pin in it, move on to the next, flip the page, move on to the next chapter. Even down to now. Now, I would say I'm very, very content, very happy. I enjoy what I'm doing. It's so peaceful in the brain, because like I said, with the director of the department, for example, that was a role that required me to be on motherfucking call. Drop a bomb on that. No, Naris, I didn't mean on the call like, okay, I'm calling in. No, on call. Okay, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and some shit went down. Who we gonna call? Juan Key. And dial the phone number of the cell phone they gave him. And when they gave him the cell phone, they said, we expect you to pick up this phone, okay, at any time of the day, night, holiday, weekend, birthday, bat mitzvahs, consecration, all of that. All of that. These bitches been known to call me on a motherfucking plane. Drop a bomb on that. On a motherfucking plane. Knowing I'm on vacation. So that in itself, having to carry home the bullshit. Like your brain being on at all times. So, I was happy with the paycheck, but then when that shit started playing, it was in the 5-year mark was coming around. It was time for me to look around and see what the tea was. Anyway, yeah. So, if you want to share, what was your bestest, favoritist job that you've ever had? Leave it down in the box below. We do this every single night. I am running out of steam, ladies and gentlemen. I'm running out of steam. I'm tired. It was a long periodical of week. Not on the on the motherfucking plane, Naris. On the motherfucking plane. Okay? And I was like literally the flight attendant. We were taxiing. We were taxiing to take off. And I was so angry, so mad. I just picked up the phone and I was like, I'm on the plane right now. Oh, because we're about to take off. No, and I'm going to DR, and they knew that there was no, when I'm in DR, I'm like uncomunicado. They can only email me. And I will have to check my email several times a day, but you can't really like call the phone. I told them that my phone was not going to be working, but the email was. So yeah, on the plane. Maybe I'll do a story time about those things. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming through. We do this every single night. It's true. In case anybody's wondering, Miss Viewers of You is back on the streets. She is a motherfucking warrior, Naris 21. She was on live this morning, literally hours after her procedure, doing the damn coloring and just talking about her experience. Go check out her last video. I think I put it on my post. I think I put it on my community board. Go support her. Give her a click and a view. I know she's probably like medicated and sleeping right now, but she'll catch this later on. Glad everything went well, Miss Viewers of You. I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. Be safe. Weekend is almost here. It's Friday's Eve. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace.